Hey there, Naoseiers, and welcome to Naosei Weekly, your go-to spot for the latest movie and TV updates. I'm your host, Priscilla, and I've got a sizzling lineup for you this week. From the latest blockbuster to the hidden gems, we've got it covered. So, grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's spend some quality time together. Let's dive into what's been heating up our screens this week. We're talking latest releases, trailers, and box office news. So firstly, Oppenheimer. Yes, we're still talking about Oppenheimer because it's broken a major box office record. So let's get into it. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer has been in the box office for 8 weeks and breaks a huge box office record as it nears
$1 million.
Collider says the Oppenheimer box office surpassed the 910 million previously set by Bohemian Rhapsody, another fantastic movie just as a side note, which makes Oppenheimer the highest grossing biographical movie of all time. Now, having watched Oppenheimer opening weekend, I think it is a really well-deserved record for it to break. It really does depend on your style of movie, and if you are into biographies and sort of true dramas, which is what this is, and also whether you are a fan of Christopher Nolan. Now, the film itself follows the story of the atomic bomb and when it was built and the team around that. It follows the story of Oppenheimer, who was the person who basically ended up delivering on that bomb, and his ties with politics at the time and people who he was associated with, which led to this trial in which they believed he may have been committing crimes against America. So it covers that entire sort of timeline of what happened, his success, but as well as what ended up being his downfall. Now, I watched this on the same weekend as Barbie, and both equally good films. I didn't really quite understand the comparison with both films versus one another. I guess the fact that they both happen to come out at the same time is the only thing these films have in common. But with that being said, Oppenheimer is a great movie. It is 3 hours long. So if you don't like Christopher Nolan and you don't like biographies, don't go to watch it because you will be bored. But if you do like those two things combined, definitely watch it. It's fantastic. If you've already watched it, as most of the world has, drop it in the comments and let me know what you think. Now, most Christopher Nolan films I watched several times, like Interstellar. What a fantastic movie. Absolutely one of my all-time favorites. I've watched it many, 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 many times. Would I watch this film many, many, many times? Probably not. It's great. It has everything that I like about a Christopher Nolan film. However, because it's a true story, we already know the end. Watching it over and over again is not something I'm probably going to do. Having it watched once in the cinema, I will most likely watch it again once it's out on the streaming platforms. But if we compare it to like Interstellar or Inception, all these great films, the Batman trilogy, would I go out and watch it multiple times like I have done with these other movies? The answer is no. But is it worth a watch? The answer is yes. Next we have Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. So is an upcoming Netflix anime which promises to tell the story of everyone's favorite deadbeat Canadian in a refreshing new way. The animated series plans to improve on past attempt to attack the story. And the best part is all the previous cast members are coming back to voice their roles, with the writers and the producers promising more depth to the characters, meaning the actors will have more to play with. The first episode is set to release on the 17th of November 2023. I actually wasn't a massive Scott Pilgrim vs. the World fan. I did watch it like when it first came out and haven't really watched it since, so maybe rewatching it, I would have a different perspective, and it's something I will watch before the series come out just for a level of appreciation. But yeah, I wasn't part of that cult that really liked it and was really into it. not me. So I'm excited to see the anime, excited to see Netflix have a go at it. And it is something I will watch, but I don't have a lot to say in terms of, expectations or anticipation for it on my side. However, looking at what's been released online and seeing some of the comments around this, there is quite a big buzz around it. It seems that Scott Pilgrim versus the World had actually quite a really big community of fans and a huge fan base. So if you're one of those fans, let me know below and tell me why I missed out, basically. But yeah, one to watch out for in November. It's coming out on Netflix, so that's your news. Now, the trailers we've been catching up with this week. There's a few trailers that have been released. Some we've watched, and we're not really going to talk about it today because it's not necessary. But there are a few trailers that we've caught up with this week. A trailer that we have watched is called Still Up. Now, it's a new series on Apple TV, which follows the story of two friends who can't sleep at night and basically call each other and come alive in the evening. The trailer shows that they're best friends, they have respective partners that seem to not be too happy with their friendship because they have this whole life outside of them the moment they fall asleep, because these two share the fact that they can't sleep. It was a very light-hearted trailer. Cute is the word I will use. However, it seems very predictable in what we can expect from this series. I'm going to shoot it in the dark. It's not out yet. My anticipation is that these two characters at some point down the line are going to figure out that they're magically in love with each other, have always been in love with each other, and it took their partners to get annoyed about their friendship for them to find out. If it doesn't go down that line, I will be very pleasantly surprised, because it would be great to see someone capture a friendship that is just a friendship and not someone secretly longing for their best friends. However, that's not the impression I get from the trailer. It also does feel like the trailer has given away the complete storyline, but it does feel fun. It feels, like I said, cute. So maybe worth a watch. And that will be released on Apple TV on the 22nd of September. I had to look at my notes there, but it'll be released on the 22nd of September. Now, one of the things I do like about the show is it stars Antonia Thomas, who was in Misfits way back when I was a teenager, and it was one of my, I won't say favorite shows, but definitely one at the time that made a lot of noise. So to see her, in something new is pretty good. Another trailer to talk about this week is Goosebumps. Now, Goosebumps was one of my all-time favorite books as a kid. And however, I've grown up to actually not like anything scary or jumpy or horrors in general. And the trailer, just off the bat, just ticked off all those boxes, and I was like, oh, okay. However, as it developed, the trailer did start to develop a little bit of the storyline a little bit more, just kind of show where the series is going to go. It does feel very typical teen horror style, which I guess makes sense considering the books were children books. Them targeting a teen demographic makes sense. However, it doesn't feel new. It feels like things we've seen before, specifically with like Riverdale, Fear Street, which we saw on Netflix, which were all these films which kind of capture this. Your parents did something in the past. Now there's a curse. That's your parents' fault. But we're going to pick on you because of it. Still looks really interesting. One that I would either watch or wait for someone I know to watch and tell me the level of scariness, I guess is the right word, and then get stuck into it. But I'm excited that, Goosebumps are releasing a series. Why not? Why the heck not? And that's coming to Disney on the 13th of October. Now we've got some cinema releases that are coming out. So the first one you've got is Dumb Money. So that's coming out on the 22nd of September. It seems like it's going to be a little bit down the line of The Big Short, following that same sort of type of film, which I don't mind. I actually am a fan of The Big Short. I like those type of movies, so I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But it does feel like this is being tackled in exactly the same way, so not sure if it's going to offer anything new. However, one I will watch, just not sure if I'll watch it in cinema. So if someone goes to watch it next week, let me know if it's worth paying and going out and watching it, in cinema or just waiting for it to come out on the streaming channels. But I will definitely watch it, just not sure I'm watching it on the cinema. Then we have Expendable 4s. To be honest, I didn't even know they were still making these films. I am not a fan. There's a number 4, so I'm assuming there are fans out there. I'm just simply not one of them. So I'm not going to comment on it, but it is coming out on the 22nd. There are 3 older films, so feel free to go ahead and check that out. Obviously, everyone knows the actors in this are huge. So, I guess they want to keep making movies and Expendable keeps coming out. So clearly there's a demographic and a fan base for it. It's just not me. If you've seen it and you think I'm chatting absolute baloney, let me know. I might go back and try and watch it again. We'll see. But yes, number 4 is out. And then we have The Haunting in Venice. So that's just been released on the 15th of September, so a couple of days ago. And it's doing pretty well in the box office, actually. It's doing better than the previous 2 movies that have come out, which is Death on the Nile and The Murder on Oriental Express. And I actually watched both films. I like the movies. I like the whole murder mystery theme that they have going on. I'm actually quite a big fan. Watching the trailer for The Haunting in Venice, seems like they've completely changed the genre, going more into a, I guess, mystery horror type theme, which is great because they're going to capture a brand new demographic. However, they might lose fans like myself who are not very much into the horror space. I actually do want to watch it. Like, it looks like it could be interesting enough and have enough of a storyline that it is interesting. However, just from the trailer alone, I can tell there are going to be quite a few jump scares. There's definitely an element of, spirits and paranormal activity, which I am 100% not a fan of. However, it does look pretty interesting. So I'm almost 50-50. I definitely want to watch it. But I'm also very hesitant to watch it because of the type of films that I enjoy. This is another one that I might wait till it's out on streaming, only because it means I can press pause, take a break, I can watch some cartoons after it. I might not go watch it in cinema, not because I don't think it's worth it, but just because I don't want to be scared in front of other people, basically. But definitely one that looks to be doing pretty well. So, want to check out. So, what's happening in the box office this week? So, we now got our top 5 box office films based on the weekend of the 8th and 10th of September. So, in first place, we've got The Nun at number 1, The Nun 2, which at the moment has done a total gross of 42 million and has only been released for 1 week. So that's some really good indication of, I guess, what the film is going to deliver. Second place, we've got The Equalizer 3, which has done a total gross of 56 million and also has only been released for 2 weeks. So also doing some really good numbers there. In third place, we have My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Which has done a total gross of 14 million and has also only been going for 1 week. As a complete side note to this, I don't know why a third movie has been made. I watched number 1 when I was a kid, loved it as a kid, never seen number 2, and now there's a number 3, which just makes you question who keeps making these movies and why are they making them. Surely no one remembers the first one enough to actually want a number 3. But hey, it's done 14 million. So, who am I to say anything? And if people are still watching it, crack on, keep making movies and someone will watch it. In fourth place, we have J1. It's done 9.7 million so far. And number 5 is Barbie. So Barbie is still at number 5 with a 622 million gross revenue. So it's doing really well. Obviously, it started to climb down, but, solid number 5. Yeah, why not? Be really interesting to see where it is next week on this list, if it is on this list, as it has been going for 8 weeks. So let's just jump straight into our retro reels. Our oldie but goodie for the week is the classic, the early 2000 gem that is The Gladiator.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
And what a film it is. It's been 23 years since it's released, and it's still phenomenal till this day. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. There might be some spoilers in what I'm just about to say, so if you don't want spoilers because you're going to go watch it, just pause this video and come back, in about 3 hours once it's done. But what a fantastic film. So it just follows the storyline of a Roman general who basically gets sold into a slave trade because of the jealousy of the emperor's son. The emperor's son is so jealous of the relationship between his father and this Roman general that basically he kills his dad. Yes, kills his dad, and then tells this commander, this general, that he has to serve under him, and he says no. He says, I'd like to go see my wife and kids. I've served my time. I've served the kingdom. I don't want to be involved anymore. To which this new emperor's response is to kill him. But because he's a G, he escapes. Of course he does. No one expected him to not escape. But when getting home, he sees that both his wife and son has been killed, leaving him absolutely distraught, which is when he's picked up by, I guess you could say, these people who sell humans to sell him into the slave trade, which he's sold to become a gladiator. He begins to fight in these battles, in these gladiator matches, and quickly sort of starts to climb in fame amongst the people because obviously he's really, really good. Until he gets to the point where he's fighting in front of the emperor who basically killed his wife and kid. And his first approach is to kill him, but holds back until the end where they basically have this amazing fight, the two of them. But the emperor is obviously a coward, which is shown by his previous actions during the movie. So he stabs this commander before they go out into the arena, meaning he's not his full strong self, is actually obviously performing at a much lower, let's say, capacity because he's been stabbed before the fight, right? And they get out into the arena. I mean, he still wins. Of course he still wins. But, the ending of the film is really, really sad. Or really, really happy because he gets to go back to his wife and son. Depending on your approach on life, you will decide whether that film is a happy ending or a sad ending. However, it is a fantastic film. The actors are brilliant. You've got obviously Russell Crowe, a much younger Russell Crowe, but still fantastic Russell Crowe. And we also have Joaquin Phoenix, who is so good in his role. So good. He plays the son, the new emperor, and honestly, what a fantastic job he does. So, I mean, to kick off an oldie but goodie with The Gladiator does just set the bar extremely high for any film to come. But it was a really good one to rewatch. So, yeah, go watch that if you haven't. And if you have, just let me know your favorite scene. And obviously, we like to just talk about what we're currently watching. What is taking up our screen times? And if I'm honest, there is a lot of things I'm watching. And to talk about them all right this second would be a very, very, very long episode. So we're not going to do that. But I will talk about 2 shows that I've started watching this week, actually. And so far, it's going pretty good. So the first one is The Bear. Now, The Bear, I've known about it for some time. And I've been hesitant to watch it because the explanation has always been, it's a cooking, it's a kitchen, and it's about a restaurant, and it's running a restaurant, but it's really, really good. And that was kind of the gist of it. But watching it so far, episode 1, so good. So good. I am really, really enjoying the direction, for the episode, some of the angles, some of the shots that is being done. Really, really captivating. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a little bit, but a really big fan of it at the moment. So the first episode is this guy Karen. He, from what I'm understanding so far, he's been left behind his brother's restaurant, which he used to run with his brother-in-law, who is really not happy that the restaurant got left to Karen and not him. Karen has a really fancy education when it comes to cuisine. The cousin doesn't, and that causes a lot of friction this first episode. So like there's like a moment where you can see Karen is demanding his knife because he needs his knife to cook, and everyone's around and ignoring him, like obviously ignoring him, showing that basically there's no appreciation for his knowledge, there's no appreciation for whatever he's trying to do in the restaurant. And then as he's zooming in, the camera just focuses on his knife that looks like it's been hidden behind like a tray. And he's just like fuming. You think he's about to blow, but he holds his cool. And there's these really special moments in the episode where they do that really well, where we can see Carmen is focusing on something and they use the cinematography to sort of zoom in on that as well. And it works really, 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 really well. And yeah, the first episode is kind of just introducing us to that storyline, introducing to why is he there, what's he doing there, what's his relationship to the restaurant, starting to introduce as well a few of the other characters that work there in the kitchen and sort of what their roles are. And the first episode just sort of ends with the restaurant being really busy with these characters who have turned up for food. And Carmen's sort of really struggling to find his own here, trying to bring his knowledge, his experience into the kitchen whilst fighting with cousin who really doesn't want to let him do that. So far, so good. I'm actually halfway through episode 2, which is, again, really interesting again. I'm really, really surprised. I'm enjoying it as much as I am. But we'll talk about episode 2 next week. But so far, pretty good. Pretty good. And the other one I'm watching right now is The Other Black Girl. This one I came across by accident. I was doing some research for the show, and this came up. And it's actually an adaptation of a novel. And it seems to have a pretty decent fan base, actually, in terms of what's expected of the novel and the series. Trying to not do too much research into this because I don't want to see the ending. It looks like the entire season was released in one go, and there's already some articles talking about the ending. So I don't really want to get too much into research to find out more about the fan base of this series. But the first episode so far, again, pretty good. I didn't have any expectations going in. I actually thought it was going to be a comedy. It doesn't position itself that way just yet. I obviously I can't speak about later episodes, but the first episode hasn't positioned itself as a comedy. So far, it's the story of a lady who works in PR in book publishing, and she's the only black girl in the office. Everybody else is white, and she's sort of just navigating life around that when eventually they hire another black girl. And as anyone who has experienced that before, she was very excited by the fact that there was someone she could relate to, someone else who might understand some of her day-to-day struggles, and they very, very quickly form a friendship. Until the end of the episode where, like, the girl tells her, listen, like, speak your mind. There's a book, and basically the book requires some feedback, which she was very honest about. And the editor-in-chief basically said, do not speak your mind. No one wants to hear what you got to say about that. Just tell the author it was good. Don't risk, upsetting the author. We need this book. So she leaves the office almost kind of upset by being told she's not allowed to share her opinion. But then she speaks to this new black girl about it, and this girl tells her, listen, I got your back. Listen, if you want to speak up, I got you. Do it. The moment you need me, I'm there for you. Which, considering they just met, it's a lot. And what happens is there is a launch party for this author, and the new girl invites the old girl into a conversation saying, she had some thoughts on the book. And then the editor-in-chief is watching her like, hey, don't go all out. Don't tell him what you told me. But she does. She tells him, listen, I think your book is really stereotypical of black women. I think it's actually really dangerous. And I think the character is being portrayed in a really bad light. And the author basically turns to the new girl and says, what do you think? And despite her earlier in the episode saying, listen, girl, I got your back, do you? I'm a come through. She backs out of it and goes, no, it's great. I think it's fantastic. I need to reread it again to really, understand my stance on it. However, I think it's great. And then obviously the old girl is just looking at her like, yo, you told me you were going to back it and you didn't. What's going on? The editor-in-chief basically says, listen, you need to come to my office tomorrow morning. And it's a whole thing. So far, it's set the tone for pretty well, actually. It set the tone quite nicely. And there are these bits in the episode which the main character, the original girl, is almost experiencing these paranormal activities. She's seeing things on the screen that's not there, seeing things in the elevator, in the lift that's not there, which is why I'm like, okay, this isn't really framed as a comedy, so I'm not entirely sure what to expect here. But like I said, I've done no research really on this show, haven't watched any trailers, I've just gone straight into the first episode, so, maybe it was explained that this is not a comedy, and I'm just being oblivious to it all, but so far, really good episode. Would actually recommend, based on just the first episode, to go watch it. Next week we'll do a little roundup on what's happening in episode 2, but episode 1, absolute thumbs up. But based on those things we've seen this week, what are the scene stealers? So just looking at 3 scenes in those shows, in the Gladiator, which we just kind of feel, yes, this was fantastic. And we kick it off with the bear. So like I mentioned a little while ago, the bear, some really, really good shots. The concept of what it's doing, I could be completely wrong, but the perception that I get is that anytime the character Carmen is focused on something, the camera focuses in as well, sort of showing what he's actually paying attention to. And there's this scene sort of 11 minutes in where cousin is just shouting at him and going at him, speaking a million words an hour, and the camera is focused on him chopping up these vegetables, and you don't see anything else but the vegetables, and it just focuses on that. And you think that as a scene, like, it's just vegetables, but actually it works really, really, really well. And when you start to factor in the other framework that's happening, the other elements when it's being focused in, you start to realize it's almost capturing what the character is focusing on in that moment. So I thought that was really powerful. I thought that was actually really, really powerful. And it starts to kind of almost assist in us understanding the character better, that his focus is food. His focus is the restaurant. His focus is on everything that's going to take it to the next level. And I thought that was a really powerful way to do that. Now, the other black girl, the scene for me is the opening scene. It shows a scene of something that looks to have happened on a train many, many, many moons ago. And that person is in the office. They open the office, and instead of, ending up where they're meant to in the office, they step onto a train, which I think is a really fantastic transition. Just, how it's been done, how it's been portrayed, fantastic. She then on this train is then, it's a really dark theme, like everything, like the lights are twinkling and there's a lot sort of going on. But then there's all these people on the train watching her and staring her down. And then as something is about to happen, it shoots to the present day. So there's still not a lot of explanation around what that is just yet. But as, again, the framing for what happens later in the episode, where we start to see this character on the screen and, in the reflection of the lift, it kind of gives some indication, maybe, of what could happen. Maybe there's some paranormal activity happening. Maybe it's an alter ego of the main character that's sort of coming into herself based on the new experiences that she's having. I'm actually interested. So we'll see. But that first scene, really good. Really, really interesting, especially as it sets the frame for the remainder of the episode. So fantastic. And the last scene, which is in the Gladiator. Now, the Gladiator as a whole, the whole film could be a fantastic scene. And there are many, many scenes which you could capture. But my favorite scene, it's when Aurelius and Commodus, so the emperor and his son, are having a conversation, and Commodus the son basically says, why don't you love me? Like, Dad, I'm your son. I'm your blood. Why don't you love me? And the dad basically says, look, the kingdom is going to Maximus, the commander. He's going to be king, not you. Basically, you're a disappointment, son, and I don't want you to have my kingdom. It was a very, very, very frank conversation between father and son, and the son did not like the conversation. So he tells his dad, Dad, embrace me. And when he does, he kills his dad and then calls everybody, my dad, he's dead. Phenomenal scene. Now, you know it's a good scene when you hate the actor. When the actor has done such a phenomenal job that you actually can't help but dislike him because he's embodied that character and everything that character is. And you're like, oh, I can't believe you're this much of a douche. Like, I can't believe this is you. This is really what you are. But Joaquin, again, he played this role so well because that particular scene is only in the beginning of the film. And actually, as a character, he progressively becomes worse. And there's these lazy interactions between him and his sister. And what an absolute phenomenal performance by Joaquin. Phenomenal. But this particular scene for me was, it's just, they're all great. Honestly, they're all great. But this one, just because of how much you go on to dislike that character and dislike the association with that character, just shows just how much of a phenomenal job the actor did. And he did. Fantastic scene. So the recommendations for this week. Oh, there's so many. There's so many things we could recommend. There's so many things for you to go watch. Every week something comes out. I can't promise it's good, but every week there's something new to watch. So one that is, maybe it's marketing, but it's coming up a lot in our research. I haven't watched it quite yet. It is on my list. It's A Million Miles Away, which has just come out on Amazon Prime with Michael Pena. Seems to follow the storyline of an astronaut and what happened with that. It's a PG, so if you got kids, family, that's a good one to kind of sit down and watch with the kids. But yeah, that's it really. Yeah, it's a good one to sit down and watch with the kids. We've got it on our list to catch up. But no real sort of overview on that film yet, as we haven't watched it. The next one is Sex Education Season 4, and it's now available on Netflix. So if you are a sex ed fan and you've watched all the past seasons, it's a new one for you to go catch up on. A bit of a binge, I guess. We've also have The Wilderness. So The Wilderness is a new one on Amazon Prime, and it's actually on our list of shows that we're watching. So we'll go into a little bit more on it next week, just as a little bit of an overview. But one that is also in the UK top 10 at the moment, so definitely worth going to check it out. And another one, which we've actually have a top 10 of the first episode released as an episode, is Top Boy Summer House. So they've released the new season of Top Boy last weekend, and it's doing really well. It's currently number 10 in the UK. If you are going to watch Top Boy and you've never watched it before, please begin with Summer House. You must understand the context of the characters so that you can really, really enjoy the new seasons, which is the ones that have been funded by Drake, no other. So yeah, go back, watch Summer House. It's only 4 episodes in each season, so 8 episodes total for you to be caught up with everything that you need to know, and then go ahead and watch the new one. But yes, new season is out. Some really good feedback on that. So and it seems like the internet is going crazy trying to figure out who killed a particular character. So yeah, go watch that. Go join in and figure out who killed the person that died. And lastly, we do a weekly bonus ReelGood roulette. So ReelGood is an app that we use, and it does a roulette, which it picks a film for us. So there will be a bonus episode coming in a couple of days, which we watch the film from that roulette and just give you a little bit of an overview and say whether it's a flop, whether it's hot, and whether you should go watch it. So watch out for that in a couple of days. But if you do want to watch along with us and you do want to follow along, the film that has been picked for us to watch this week is called All Who Loved Her. Now, for context, I haven't researched the film. I don't know anything about it. It could end up being a horror, which I will absolutely hate. But I know nothing about what it is. I'm purposefully not researching, not looking into it. I don't want to watch a trailer. I'm just going to take the roulette. I'm going to watch it and then pay for the consequences with my time and energy in watching the show, film, whatever it is at that time. So yeah, this week's one is All Who Loved Her. Go check that out. I actually don't know where it streams. I have no idea because, like I said, I haven't looked into it yet. It was picked before we started filming this episode. So we'll let you know next week where we watched it, how we found it, and how whether it sucked or not. But that's it for today. Thank you for joining us on this episode. We hope you settled in. We hope you enjoyed the quality time that we've just spent together. And yeah, thank you for rocking with Naosei Weekly. Ciao for now. See you next week. Connect with us on social media and let us know your thoughts on today's episode. We really do want to hear from you. Share the podcast with someone who also likes TV and movies, and really, who doesn't? So share it with everybody. And we'll catch you next time. See you next episode. Have fun. Ciao for now.